This is episode 28. She shoots,
Braden.
she scores. Shout out to Braden on the line. Shout out to all the listeners on TikTok, all the people on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. We appreciate y'all. I'm gonna go straight into our hot takes. And my first hot take is that Caitlin Clark will never average anything less than 8 assists per game in a season. And in fact, in the postseason, I believe that she will average a double double. So for me, I think she's gonna put up maybe 18 and 10. I'm not going to go as far as 20. I'll say 18 and 10. For the record, from the beginning of the year, I thought she was going to put up 21 and 9, and she's 3 points away from doing that, or 2 points away from doing that. So I'm gonna let y'all cook. I'll let y'all go into it. That's my hot take. CC will be averaging a double double in the playoffs. Shout out to Dream Hustlers.
I kind of agree with that. She's gonna, I mean, for all the seasons that count anyway, when she's not past her prime, where her stats start to fall off. In the postseason, she's gonna have to find a way to be effective if she's not scoring. So I could see her averaging double-digit assists in the playoffs. Hot takes. I'm still riding that hot take from 6 weeks ago, man. The New York Liberty are gonna get 34 wins, set that all-time record, man. I called it 6 weeks ago, and they just need to win 3 more, and they're on fire right now. So looking pretty good.
All right.
Yeah.
I can see Caitlin maybe scoring a double double, but I'm concerned about that team. It's a young team. Nobody on the team has experience in playoffs, and so if their opponent, I'm not for sure who it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be Connecticut Suns, but if they can stop the big three, right?
Yeah.
If they can put the clamps on the big three, then I'm not really for sure what it's going to look like, but I do project that she is going to do whatever it takes in order to get to progress her team. So I will give her that double double. But if Connecticut or whoever they get can keep that team below 75 points, it might be tough. It might be real tough.
All right.
They're a high scoring team, and so if their opponents can keep them in low scoring, they might have a chance, but you can't let them score. You can't let them get loose.
So just for reference, Tasha, and then everybody on TikTok, if y'all can hear us. If you can't hear us, let me know. I'll try and do something with the audio. But what we had spoke about last episode was which one of the 3 or 4 seeds have the easiest. Which team do we feel like the upper ranked seeds has the? What am I trying to say, Jordan? Please help.
What you try to say is which one of the top 4 seeds? Well, last time we talked about which one of the top 4 seeds would be most likely to be upset.
Thank you.
That's what we said last time. Most of us kind of went with, I think, Connecticut.
Yes.
And I think you said Las Vegas.
Well, because they have to play Seattle.
Right.
Obviously I'm gonna go Connecticut too, but I wanted to have a different opinion. So I do want y'all to pay attention to the Seattle Storm team as well.
Right. Yeah.
And we could go. How about speaking of Storm? Let's do this. So speaking of Storm, actually, how about this before that? One thing I do want to mention, take note of, is that the fact that Marina Mabrey is a huge difference maker for the Connecticut Sun. So you just talked about it, Tasha, because they have a great team, and obviously Indiana can compete with them as well. 5-0. I just thought this stat was interesting because all the Chicago Sky fans were hating on Marina Mabrey for I don't know how long, whatever reason. I mean, especially when they need perimeter shooting. But they're literally 5. They're undefeated when she scores 17 points a game, and if she's coming off the bench, which she'll be doing, I mean, again,
she's tough.
This playoff gonna be, this playoff's gonna be a good one. This playoff's gonna be a good series. So.
It's going to be a real good series. Like I said before, if they can stop the big 3 in Indiana, they have a chance of winning. But at the same time, Indiana has a chance of upsetting anybody. Indiana has a chance of upsetting anybody because they fight into the end and they do not slack off. And so that's hard. And they're a high scoring team. It's hard to stop them. If you get all 3 of them on a roll, how you doing? If you get all 3 of them on a roll, it's going to be hard. Chicago lost a valuable player, Mabrey, and
yep.
Yeah, I mean they just lost a valuable player. Sometimes you gotta respect who you with and ensure that they're going to remain. So Connecticut got a gem in the middle of the season, and we can see by her play when she scores, they're undefeated. So it's a bullet off the bench. It's instant offense off the bench, that's key. That's key. Go ahead, Jordan.
I think she's exactly right. It's been, a couple weeks now since Marina Mabrey. She's kind of settled into the Connecticut Sun, and I mean, she's a high quality player. But when you have like a super balanced team like Connecticut, and then you're able to get 17 points off the bench, I mean, a lot of teams. I mean, if the
We talked
Aces
about
could
this with
get,
Gabby. Yeah.
dude, if the Aces could get 17 points off the bench from somebody, I mean, they would win a lot more games too. So, they have such a balanced attack. They're such a dangerous team in the playoffs, and they're really gonna challenge the Fever. The Fever have a lot of work to do if they're gonna play
Mm.
Connecticut.
Now I'm gonna ask y'all this. So we're gonna go into our rank and reason. So speaking of Connecticut, we got 5 players. These are the 5 in honor of Caitlin Clark breaking a single season assist record. What I want y'all to do is rank and reason the 5 point guards or the 5 quote unquote best point guards in this league. And I'm not gonna. I mean, if it's subjective, if you have another name that you want to throw in, I'm all for it. But these are the top 5 assists. These are the top 5 assist getters in the game. And Alyssa Thomas is on this list, but she's not obviously a point guard. She's a point forward. But it's Clark, Thomas, Sabrina, Skylar Diggins Smith, and then Courtney Williams. So I mean, anybody who wants to start with their ranking and reasoning, I'll go first if y'all don't mind. I'm gonna go Clark. I'm gonna go Skylar. I'm talking about just specifically as a point guard. Then I'm gonna go. Actually, I take that back. I'm gonna go Clark, Thomas, Skylar, Sabrina, and then I'll go Courtney, and I'll let y'all go.
Clark.
What's the criteria? What you grade them on? The best is what? I mean, like, what is the criteria you using to grade?
I'm looking at all around overall game and impact to team winning. So like with Alyssa Thomas, I mean, if you're playing on a stacked team, Sabrina, Alyssa, it's kind of hard to rank you as I would with a Skylar, even though she does play on a stacked team as well. But Diggins she's a difference maker. If she's on her game, the Storm are really difficult to defeat. And I think that's why she puts so much pressure on herself because she knows that. But I'll let y'all go.
What you got, Rob?
I'll go. So this is probably not going to make DJ happy, but that's why we have different opinions, and that's okay. But I'm going to go Ionescu first because I feel like for me, even if you put her on a different team, she would be a really good positive contributor for sure. That's why she's one of the top 5 on this list for sure. And having seen her play twice this week, I mean, I know all the attention's on Caitlin, and I know why that's the case, but what Ionescu does is just incredible. And I know y'all are going to say, well, she played against a really hapless Dallas Wings team, but no, she's been consistent since she's a rookie in that rookie shortened season in 2020. So I remember hearing about her name before I even got into the W. So that's how much she was an impact player to me. Then I'll go with Clark being second. Obviously, we've seen the progression as this year's gone on. And SDS is a player I feel like not a lot of people pay attention to. And she's kind of been a journeyman player, unfortunately. But she's been a proven player. No matter if it's been with, playing in Phoenix and now over in Seattle, it's obvious why people covet, like they want her services. And you saw just how she can still play her game against these youngsters in the W. And then it's kind of a toss-up for me between Thomas and Courtney Williams, because Courtney Williams, she's a name you don't really hear a lot of. So with all due respect to Alyssa Thomas, I'm going to say Williams just because of the fact she's not someone you hear a lot about on that Minnesota Lynx team, but there's a reason why they're the number 2 team right now. So I think she's a pretty good impact player. And then Thomas, of course, because honestly, when I think of the Connecticut Sun, in my opinion, and maybe y'all have different opinions, I feel like they're kind of a defensive-minded team. So I don't really think of them for their offense. So that's kind of why she's like the last rank. But that doesn't mean she's not good. I just mean like the least impactful because that Sun team relies on Stephanie White's great coaching.
If I could just add, I'll let you go, Jordan and Tosh, but I just want to read some of these comments. It's kind of difficult for me to read, but somebody agreed with Rob. They put she's one of the best finishers in the WNBA. She's talking about Stewie, and she still averages 6 assists a game. I think he's talking about Sabrina. So if you're talking about Sabrina, please add in the comments. I'll let you go, Jordan and Tosh, whoever want to go first.
These are all really good players. They're all high impact players. I love Courtney Williams, man. She is such a dude. She's so freaking good. She's probably one of the most underrated players in the league. Or I don't know if she's underrated. Maybe we properly rate her here, but I feel like she doesn't get enough clout / exposure that someone of this caliber should get. But I think Caitlin Clark, since so much of that team revolves around her offensively, that it's almost like putting a lot of your eggs in that basket. When she's on fire, she is the most impactful player on the team. On like she has the most impact on her team's success because so much is kind of driven by her. So yeah, her highs are like the highest highs in the whole league, probably. When she's on fire, she's Steve Nash 2005. Um, and then she is, and then I'd probably put Sabrina, Alyssa, Skylar, Courtney. But I mean, they're all great players. Jimbar, you're muted.
Put on Corey, but I was gonna say, Tosh, you want to come in? If you want, you had something to chime in. Oh, she kind of.
Oh, she's coming in.
There's two Tashas now.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
She's been cloned.
double the Tasha. And then I think it's Courtney on Courtney. I see Corey on the line too. I don't know if I'm crazy or not, y'all.
Tasha,
Yeah, I can see him too.
I'm here. I'm just driving.
Okay, well,
everybody's reconnecting, or is it just me?
no,
I'm seeing.
It's definitely okay. So I guess we'll move on into our next segment. And Corey, I guess we're right on time. All right, let's just play this. I wanted y'all to. All right, Becky Hammond has some glowing words. Let me put this up for y'all. She has some glowing words for Caitlin Clark and the rest of her Indiana Fever team. We'll let her kind of speak about the future.
They're a legit three-headed monster. So you have to play defense against this team. Otherwise, they're just going to go offensively. We don't want to get into a situation where we have to outscore them, because they really have some unbelievable scores. They're a legit.
So I'm gonna pause that right there. What are your thoughts about Hammond's comments calling Boston, Clark, obviously Kelsey Mitchell, who's been on a tear, a legit three-headed monster? And do you think that this team could be like a Las Vegas in the future? I'm gonna go with you, Corey.
I know for a fact, with Becky, she's not gonna go out her way to say something if she didn't mean it. Like how sometimes coaches will praise certain players, kind of keep your enemies close type of deal. But I think she legitimately means that, just because of what the Fever has done and how they flipped that switch. They have a lot of potential. This team has not been good for some years, and they've got a collection of first-round picks. So the talent is there. Once they get a little bit more mature and they get a little bit more seasoned in the league, I think that this team could be a problem if they stay together. Because obviously injuries and other things could happen, transactions could happen, chemistry, all kinds of different things could, derail a team. But right now, this year, this team, could be poised for a deep run in the playoffs.
Just quickly, Becky Hammond does go out of her way to say things like Dearica Hamby's situation. So go ahead.
It's true. That's facts. But Rob, you want to go?
Yeah, I think she wouldn't, but obviously, I think she's respecting the fact that this team has progressed, because when they played them earlier in the year, I want to say, what was that, May or June earlier this year? Let's be honest, that's when the Fever were still kind of figuring things out with their offense and as a team, and that's when teams were still able to, but the analysts would say, clamp down on her. But it's not just because Caitlin all of a sudden has gotten better. I think it's the fact that Kelsey Mitchell, and Megan Hall brought it up, how Kelsey Mitchell has gone to another level with her play. And it's because with Leah Boston also getting better, you also have a threat. And yeah, as that user says in the thread here, you also have to add in Lexi Hall. I also think you have to think about the addition they had later in the year with Dantas. I think she's been a great role player for that team, so that that when you meet the Fever, yes, obviously everyone's thinking about number 22, but that if she's not going to have a good scoring night, or she gets a lot of turnovers and they're able to shut her down, that there's other weapons on that team. So the Fever are proud of the fact that they were able to slow down Asia Wilson, but they kind of forgot about Dr. Dre and Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young. So that's kind of my stance on that, is you have a three-headed monster, which is great, because to Jordan's point, if it was just the offense does run through Caitlin, yes, but it is possible to still shut her down despite the evolution she's had in her craft. Then that's why you have to have weapons like Boston Mitchell, and even Lexi Hall too, because she's done some superb basketball in recent times.
Talk
I
about
think
that
what we
Kelsey
find.
Plum.
Mhm.
What? Wait, what?
Go ahead, Tasha.
What did you say?
I don't. He said talk about that Kelsey Plum, I think. But one of the things that I appreciate about this comment is that it was honest. They just played them back to back in Indiana, and they realized that they're not. That's not an easy win. And I think what we're starting to see with Indiana is finally their chemistry is clicking at the right time. Right, like this is the best time to be at your best basketball in September. And so one of the things that I think is happening is that you guys are now starting to see that this is what chemistry, what playing together can look like, right? And so now that they have kind of got their chemistry together, they kind of know how to rotate. And so when Caitlin is off her mark, then Mitchell is on, and when Mitchell is off her mark, Caitlin is on, and so they know how to bounce it off each other. They know how to set the picks. Even Aaliyah Boston, she's looking real good. She's looking real good as it relates to, taking her rightful place in her position, and she's not wondering. It looks like she's no longer trying to figure out where she belongs, and she's decided where she belongs in this team, on this team, and in this league. And I think what we're starting to see is all of that starting to melt in right at the right time. And I think Indiana, I think it was just a warning. I think Hammond put out a warning. If anybody who's going to go play Indiana, be aware, because they got a 3-headed monster up there, and it's good. Yeah.
DJ, you're muted, bro.
Thank you for that, Rob. Thank you for that. We're gonna shift gears to our next segment. Call it the crossover. I'm gonna say a bunch of words. I want y'all to tell me first person that comes to your brain, first person idea, concept, anything related to the WNBA. And if I could just address this comment, the Iron Dome. Who was that WNBA? I have no clue. I've never met the WNBA, so I couldn't tell you who was
the Iron Dome.
But yeah, if we're talking about who watches it, everybody on this live. So that's the easy answer. I did just want to shut up.
Let me give them a figure that they can chew on, because you and all of us who get cover the NBA, there was a great figure that was released about how this was the most viewed regular season. So let me answer the Iron Dome, because I want to give some facts. That's what I'm all about when we do shows like these. So from the ESPN PR, this was the most watched regular season, 1.2 million average viewers. That's a 170% increase from last year. And also think about this, right? Just even for their pregame show, WNBA Countdown, they averaged 500K. That's amazing, because that's another 113% increase. So think about that before you say what a waste of time. And I'm proof that it's not a waste of time, because I'm here. I'm a new journalist covering the W. I was strictly just covering NASCAR at the time last year. I would never have paid attention to W. And now I am. But I'm one of those people who've realized there's a lot more to the league besides the Fever and Caitlin Clark. And
I'm gonna ask you why.
I love the fact, there's 12 teams out there, soon to be 13. And I'm loving that there's different stories. That's the new chase for me. So it's not a waste of time. I think, if anything, I'm kind of sad the season's almost over. I don't want it to end.
Mm-hmm.
But let me, if I could, Rob, because you brought up a good point. So you said you're a new journalist. You just started watching the W. Now I'm going to ask, why did you just start watching the WNBA? And it's okay.
To be honest,
if you're say Clark, it's okay. I don't mind. Whatever.
She was one of the reasons, but also too, I think the main impetus is for me to cover the W's. That I actually have a friend who plays for the University of Pittsburgh. Her name is Raven Boswell, and one of my coworkers. She always talks about how women's basketball is on the rise. People should go watch this sport. And I decided one day to watch her daughter play against Miami, in your Miami, that is, DJ. And unfortunately, it wasn't the greatest game for Pittsburgh. But guess what? I got to see my buddy play. She did a great job off the bench. And I was like, let me go give a shot. Let me see what's going on with this Paige Beckers, or who Caitlin Clark is, who's Angel Reese, who's Flo J. Johnson. All these players I wanted to learn about. obviously Caitlin was one of the main impetuses for me to go and become a journalist with the W. But then I realized too, like, and I'm going to give a shout out to Jeff Magliochetti. He was like, if you really wanted to cover the W for the long term, start with your local team, start with the Dallas Wings. And I did that, right? So I learned along the way, just, hey, Q, I learned, yeah, I learned how great the W is and how stacked this league is with talents, because even though I know the Dallas Wings have had a really tough year, right? We have the number 2 best player in points per average in Enrique Ungumbawali. She does not get enough flowers at all. That's why I keep bringing her up on this show on any platform I'm on, because she is proof that this league has so many great players that we ought to pay attention to them. That's why we have this show. That's why we have different opinions on here, and why we're so strongly passionate about the W.
So let's speaking of difference of opinions, how about this? Are we all right? I got Clark. I told y'all from Jump Street. Q, I'm happy you here. I told y'all from Jump Street, and we got it on tape. I told y'all from Jump Street she was gonna win Rookie of the Year. That's all I got to say.
I'll leave this right now.
That's all. Why you feeling that type of way? Why are you feeling that?
I'll leave this right now, bro.
So, but now I got a better question. Why is it so hard why is it so difficult for us as a culture to kind of, I guess, not give props? Yeah, fine. To give props to the girl. Like, what is so wrong with saying she's a good player? Like, what is the underlying factor or underlying tension, conflict, problem, whatever word you want to attribute? Like, what is wrong with saying she, like you just brought, I'm happy you said that because it brings a good talking point. Like, what's wrong with saying she's a good player or she's going to be better than Angel or et cetera, et cetera? And I'm talking about she isn't Caitlin. I don't want this to be some type of like sweeping it under the rug or like, what is the issue there? And that was the thing that we were talking about on our chat last night. What's the issue? That's what I wanted to hear from Corey and like Rob, like everybody. Like, what is the problem? And like I asked this about Paige. Yeah, please. I'll just say this last thing. I'm like, Paige, and I love Paige. She is celebrated, but I feel like Clark is tolerated. And I'm like, why is she? And it's Angel's in the same boat, but I'm like, why is it like that between these players? And I'll let y'all go first. I don't have an opinion. I just want to know what y'all think.
I feel like for me, I mean, I was already watching the WNBA already. I had already been watching it 3 seasons in, and there's been a lot of great players that's been in the WNBA that has not gotten their praise as much as this rookie that's coming into the league. She's phenomenal. She's a great player. I've seen her up close in person, and there's nothing to hate on about this girl. But there's so many different people that just overdo it and not really let us really enjoy it. From a basketball standpoint, it's almost to the point where it's just getting draining just to keep hearing some of the stuff that's going on when the W was already great before these rookies came in. Like, I mean, let me enjoy basketball. I don't want to get into all this, this person's better than this person's better than that person. I mean, she's a great player. I just like to leave it at that. But a lot of people just keep oversaturating this topic so much to the point where it's getting like ridiculous. And that's the reason why a lot of people are, against it. And you got a lot of people that are, that's not even rooted in basketball. Some of it's not.
Some of it isn't. Yeah, of course. Some of it's not at all. And I'll let y'all go. Rob, yeah, please, fire away.
Yeah, so I think really it's not that we don't like Caitlin Clark. I think it's because she does well enough alone that she doesn't need everybody in the whole world to go and, we're not worthy of her all the time. I think she does well enough alone that, she's got a personal reporter in ESPN of Holly Reau, right? She has her own personal security guard. It's pretty much making it known. Like, she's got a neon sign saying that, okay, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, I'm your Jesus Christ of the WNBA. And it's like, okay, well, trying to understand from other fans and just, putting in the time and research to cover this league. Frankly, when we do that, it kind of diminishes every other player in the league. And I'm not talking about the rookie class. I'm not getting into the Angel Caitlin thing. I'm just talking about the current guard already in place, right? Because it's like the example I gave in our pre-production chat, right? In NASCAR, I'll do it really quickly. In NASCAR in the late 1990s, Jeff Gordon came along. And NASCAR was already a great sport in stock car racing. They had Richard Petty, they had Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, the Labonte brothers, Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, and all that, right? So this kid, Jeff Gordon, comes from California by way of Pittsburgh, Indiana, and was like pretty much this well-liked driver from the very beginning. But when this guy kept getting a lot of attention, a lot of publicity, a lot of, you better like this guy. It's wrong to not like him. If you think you can't like him, you're just insulting stock car racing. People got irritated by that because anywhere you went, and I don't know if anyone remembers during this time, Jeff Gordon's face and like this could be seen everywhere in America.
But nobody had a problem with Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon was so.
Oh no, they did,
Dude, we
They did.
love
Not
Not
where
when-
I'm from. Everybody still talks about Jeff Gordon to this day. And
I mean,
even you just brought up a
video
point.
games because of Jeff Gordon.
Right. And Rob, you brought up a point where you said they're treating her like JC. Ryan Reynolds literally just had a movie calling himself Marvel Jesus, and nobody is upset with that. So it's like, why are they upset with Clark being this figure for the league? Like, so if she's the fairy godmother, let her be the fairy godmother. Like, I don't understand.
Well, I think it's
what
also-
they do with that.
Well, I think it's because also too we're also diminishing the fact that we already have a great player in Asia Wilson. So I mean that's the person I feel like people should be paying attention to
I got a
because
question with that too. What's the disconnect between fans in Asia? I don't feel like there is a disconnect, but I'm like, why is it that?
well, I think there is because to be honest, right? If you show Asia Wilson's image to a new fan who doesn't not know the WNBA, they're probably not going to know them. And I've covered NASCAR for the last 18 years. I've been a fan since 1991. Yeah, Jeff Gordon's well liked today, but in the 1990s, he got booed a lot. There was a group that actively went against him at racetracks. When he would crash out of a race, people cheered because they loved seeing that car wrecked. They didn't like him winning. They wanted their Southern boy to win. They didn't want Jeff Gordon to be a winner. He had to take a lot of hits, a lot of knacks. He had to have some failures before people began to appreciate him. So I think, to me, and it's okay if y'all don't agree with me, I think it will have to take a bit of some difficult times for Caitlyn, not just as a personal, like her personal space, but she has to fail. I know she lost in the championship games and the Natties. I'm talking about in the W. She has to have some struggle. She has to have some bad things happen to her before people realize, wait a second, okay, we see what she's done. That's unfortunately the way it is.
According to everybody she's been struggling this whole season with the turnovers, with the fact that she's tied with Angel for Rookie of the Year, with the fact that her team they went 1-10 to start the season, and then you're talking about the failures. She failed in she's a quote unquote 2-time loser. You know, for people that are ignorant to the sport, I'm like, why is this animosity aimed towards this person where I can name a bunch of athletes who don't get half of the? And I'm like, what is it that she's? I'll let y'all go, Q, and then Jordan. I know
It's just like whenever LeBron James came into the NBA. I mean, you had a lot of people that was rooting for LeBron, but you also had a lot of people that was like, you know, this guy hasn't even done anything in the NBA at all. A lot of stuff that he was doing, they was watching it on high school, you know, his high school basketball tapes and things like that. But they was crowning him the savior of the NBA at the time. And it was the same thing.
Is he not?
I mean,
Is he not?
how his career.
He kind of did say that.
I mean, it's
Is he
still
not? That's the
subjective because
question. Is he not?
I'm a Kobe guy. I hated that, honestly. Like, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I hated it because I wanted to. When I was watching LeBron in high school, I loved watching LeBron in high school. He got into the NBA. I was excited like everybody else, but then they started comparing Michael Jordan and saying he was the savior, he was the king. I hated it.
But the question, that's not the question is he not?
Because of the Colorado rape charges.
Jordan, let Q go. Hold on, Q. What are you saying? My fault.
With Rob's point, he's saying the failure is not enough for people. They want to see her go through more struggles, not just 1 year. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to come around later in her career. But what also Corey's saying is not so much her, it's just the fans. Like, I would use a word, to describe how like a lot of people feel about her fans. They feel like they're overly charged about when it comes to her, and that annoys a lot of people. Just like with LeBron fans or Kobe fans or Jordan fans, it's player fans that kind of ruin the sport. Like, there's fans who love the sport, and then there's fans who love certain players. And those fans who love certain players, they throw all logic out the window when it comes to their player.
So, like y'all been doing with Angel Reese?
No,
that's a real question. That's a real question. Like y'all been doing with Angel Reese. Corey, that goes for you. Q, that goes for you too.
Caitlin's a good player.
No. You said they throwing logic out the window. Y'all told me they're throwing logic out the. That's what you just said, right? Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, but about player fans. The logic was for like the last 2 months was that this was co-rookie of the year, and Clark was I could count the amount of people that told me Clark was a bum. She can't shoot. She can't do this. She can't do that.
I'm glad this is recorded because I never said a bum.
Of course, I know that you. Of course, because
I've
we
never
try to
said
be
I've
objective
never
on
said
the
that
show.
either.
That's true. That is true.
Let me go
'Cause
call Randy though.
You told me that she was better than Kelsey
I'll say it
Plum,
again.
which is
I'll say it again. You want me to yell it? You want me to tell everybody in the airport?
which is a two-time champ, Olympian.
What does that mean?
You
Right,
want me to go
right
through a
now, she's
whole
not
list
better.
of
She's not better.
accolades?
She's not better.
Man, I'm
What is
taking Plum.
what is and here, Kelsey, you watching this? I don't hate you. I got nothing against you. What does she do better than Clark?
Everything.
We talked about this yesterday. She don't average more points. She don't average more assists. She don't average
What she
more
do?
steals. She
What did
don't
she do
shoot
last
better.
night?
She don't have higher.
What has she done in the three games that the Aces done played against them? What has she done better than Kelsey Plum?
She has done nothing better than Kelsey Plum in the last 4 games that they played against. She had 18 and 10 last night. What do you? She does better than KP.
She had 7 turnovers, DJ.
The biggest difference between Kelsey Plum and Caitlin Clark is one has Asia Wilson and one doesn't.
Thank you. Like that's not even
that's the main difference. That's it.
Jordan, you were quiet. I mean, if you had something to say, but that was my question. Maybe you had something to say.
Okay, well, look here are the truths. Okay, Caitlin Clark's the most important basketball player in the WNBA in the history of the league, and that's it. And we should be thankful she's here. You know,
that's the talk that get people mad. That right there is what get people mad.
It's true.
That right there is what get people mad. But I want to hear what you're saying. But that right there, I think
I'm about to log off.
Well, let's just go back and dissect every single argument from the beginning of time. People watched this thing with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark in the national finals game, but let's go back to the Final Four. Do you guys even remember who LSU played in the Final Four in 2023? Not 2024, 2023.
Great question. I off rip. Who did LSU play?
Off the top of your head, who did they play, and what were the ratings for it? This is an Angel Reese only game because we watched because of Angel 2, right? What were the ratings for that game? They played Virginia Tech. Okay. They won 79-72. It averaged 2.5 million views.
That's 2 million is still good though. Keep going.
On the other side of the bracket, we got Caitlin Clark, who has not played Reese yet, got 6.5 million views for beating South Carolina. So this is before they've ever played in college. 6.5, 2.5. Okay. Caitlin, we're watching because of Caitlin. And then there's the 12 million and the 10 million in the finals. She's 0-2 in the finals. Obviously, she's a loser, right? But just making it to the game, people are watching the game even when you're losing. You know, like the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and it's like, but even the losing team of the Super Bowl, they got ratings too. Just getting to the game, your team gets ratings. So you could go through all the merchandise sale and all the ratings and stats, and we could talk about all this sort of stuff. But one team's 500, one team is 12 games below 500. And before she got injured, they were also 5-6 games under 500. So we could talk about breaking records, we could talk about all these things, but Caitlin Clark, I mean, we're watching because of Caitlin Clark, man.
Yes and no. But that's okay. Yes and no. So now the other question that I had, and I mean, so Rob, and I'll start with you because I did ask this. What do you feel like there is a okay, you said that they should be pushing Asia, right? They should be pushing Asia. Asia's been in the league for almost 7 years now. So it's not like she's been hidden. So my question is why, like, what is the disconnect? And Corey, you can answer too. Of course, you're a huge Los Angeles. Like, what is it? Why do you feel like the spotlight is on Clark and not Wilson? Even though Wilson is, she's the greatest player. She's up there. She won't be the greatest player to play probably.
The race tension in America is still prominent, even in sports. That's a big thing too. It's not even basketball. It's race.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying the fact that she's black, you're saying because she's black, she's not getting enough love?
I feel like it's because of that. Caitlin Clark is white,
and she's doing that.
Why she's getting so much, and she's doing what she's doing. Because if you know, like right now, like if you think about like basketball in general, it's been kind of one-sided to one demographic, as far as like talent wise. But now you got this white girl from like Midwest, and she's killing it, and she's been doing good. But her fans, just it's rooted in racism.
Are you
Well,
saying it's like? Are
so
you
what?
saying it's like a Eminem effect?
But Eminem wasn't a good rapper.
Yeah,
Like that's what I'm saying.
No, no, no,
he
no,
was
no,
a
no,
good
no. We're not
rapper,
saying
But I
Caitlyn
can
is
just
not
have
a
it
good
but I did
player.
Breonna
say that Caitlin Clark
Stewart.
was a good
We
basketball
didn't
player.
say she's not a good player. I'm just
Oh, I'm like, huh? Out of that. All right, what are you gonna
like the
say, Dre?
Eminem
Yeah.
effect.
But there've been other great, really great white players that didn't get this type of following and increased ratings. Lauren Jackson, Breonna Stewart,
Just
Diana Taurasi. There's so many. Rebecca Lobo, one of the big
Rob, you can
three
chime in there.
original white players that didn't change viewership like this.
in the social media era,
Good point.
Yeah,
That's
that's a good point. That's an excellent point.
That is
it's
that is.
kind of
And that's
like
I think
Well,
there's been a bunch of great white rappers
the
before
all-time
Eminem,
the all-time
but
highest rated NBA games of all time was a black shooting guard from Chicago, not in the social media era.
That's also a good point. What are you gonna say, Rob?
but it all comes down to marketing. And I think that's the one crux we haven't touched upon about why Caitlyn is so like widely like viewed, widely engaged, why she's so widely sought after. She has been basically a marketing machine, I would argue to say, since high school. She's basically had everything
High
put
school?
in.
No,
Not that
not
she
at
didn't
all.
have to work for it, but she's already she got to be a beneficiary of having a system like the name, image, and likeness situation. That helped a lot because the players that Jordan just named, the great white players,
They didn't have
DT, Rebecca Lobo, they didn't get the benefit from that. But also, too, I think it's a problem also endemic in the WNBA. We talked about this in our last episode, how it's a league that has struggled financially. And also, too, that's where I think that they're struggling because, like, it would be a shame that they don't actually. You hear a lot about Caitlyn because yes, she brings in the money into the league. She's pumping in some cash with her merch and all the sponsorships and endorsements she has. But that's where I feel like that's where it's a shame for someone like Asia Wilson, who I'm like, man, that's. I don't want to do like the whole she's the next Michael Jordan. Asia is Asia Wilson. Like I don't want to compare her to any other stature. Just like Caitlyn Clark is her own stature. And it's just too bad that in terms of I don't think there's a face of the league. There should be faces of the league, and it's a problem that unfortunately, maybe the main face of the league,
This is
she
the
should be.
it comes down to timing. It
and
comes down to
yeah.
timing.
I'm gonna
Like with
agree
the
with this.
WNBA, with all the players Jordan named, like the WNBA is barely older than me. Like as far as as an industry, comparing it to the NBA with the Michael Jordan and the viewing ratings in the '90s, that's when the NBA was already around for 30 plus 40 years. The WNBA is just now getting here. It's a baby essentially. This
If
is
I
their
could,
first real moment. Like
so I was my fault. I'm trying not to cut y'all off. I mean, I was at one point, but
go
I'm
ahead,
trying
go ahead.
Some of the comments put it's not a race thing. So shout out to Caps, long time. We're gonna open up the lines in probably 10, 15 minutes. Caps put it's not a race thing. He also said, okay, this is a fair point. You can't and I heard somebody else say this too. You can't force people to like players or watch players just because you want them to. And that's true. It's like, how can you if you've been she's been in the league for 7 years, and I think she's the greatest. I think think she is the greatest player to play. I do.
Say it.
Listen, it's between her and Maya. And like I told Jordan, when she wins this year and she gets a depoy and she gets another MVP, I think she's gonna surpass Maya. So I don't want to say that like outright yet, because like Maya's like my favorite player. But Asia's gonna be the greatest player to ever play this game before she's done playing. But I always just think like, what is it with people? Why they don't, like you said, they're not watching her games the way that they watch a Clark game, the way that they watch. And then just to push back a little bit, Rob, Clark was underrated in high school. So if you remember, her dream school was Connecticut, and she didn't have the ability to go there because a coach, shout out to Gino, said, "Hey, I don't think that you're good enough." So I'm like, even just with these underdog stories, and people love when people get slighted, and then they gotta go work their tail off. They gotta go work their tail off, and then get to the level that they need to get to now. And she surpassed every single player that Gino thought was better than her, whether that be Aziz Fudd, whether that be Paige Beckers, whether you name the guard, Ryan Howard, who was on the Olympic team, Haley Van Lith. Like there was a bunch of guards that she had to surpass. So it's not like she was just handed this mantle. You know what I'm saying? She had to work to get to it. So I'm like, just that alone, I'm like, I don't see why there's so much disconnect. Somebody put this
Well,
happened in Jordan too. And then last thing I'm gonna read is one of these comments. And you could go, Rob. Wilson plays in a system. Clark is best outside of the system because she is more dynamic. He proved them wrong and started putting in the work. That's what and I'll let you go. Yeah, I agree. What were you gonna say, Rob?
but honestly, I think we touched upon it. Corey touched upon it, and to a point, he said my point a little bit more, shall I say, more nicely than me. But it is about race, unfortunately. I don't want to be that person, but it's true. I mean, when you're a person of color, you have to work, I feel, twice as hard to get the attention, your due respect, and flowers. And, I'm never going to be a white person. So I don't know what it's like to walk in a white person's shoes, whether a woman, man, or transgender or whatnot. So, I mean, I feel like to that sense, and Corey said too, like there's the racial relations in our country is really bad right now. We can't ignore that. So I think it's also too, it's so damn divisive with having social media around. It just amplifies it even more, where I think that this is where it gets a little bit muddied for sure, to have a dissenting opinion. And I'm not trying to be like, I hate on Caitlyn. I respect what she does. I'm one of those people who's like, okay, great. She's done her part. I know she's worked hard. So have the other players as well. So it's about giving the due attention to those other players too, because their stories are just as great to tell. Unfortunately, it's just very Caitlyn dominated. Just like in the 70s, the Bee Gees were so dominating the music charts, and the Beatles dominated in the 60s. It's like, all right, great. And then you realize, oh, the Beach Boys are around, or Neil Diamond was around, or, for rap. I mean, I don't listen to rap, unfortunately, anymore. But to your point, you mentioned about Eminem, there was so many other rappers out there at the time that people probably didn't know about.
Beastie Boys.
Yeah, Beastie Boys. Yes, exactly. So I mean, it's one thing where it's great to be really how can I put this, singular focused, but we also need to stop and check the roses once in a while too.
I think at its core, like if you had to, because Jambari, you kind of like go touch around it, like, oh, she's like the underdog story and no one believed in her and all these sorts of things and other people were better. But Caitlyn Clark, to sum it up, she encapsulates the like quote unquote American dream of why a lot of people in this country also vote for Donald Trump, because she is because well, first of all, her game's exciting, right? But she is a white, assumingly heterosexual female who is relatively undersized, who is the number one draft pick going to the worst team in the league record wise, who was underrated by the greatest coach of all time, picked herself up from her bootstraps, practiced more than anybody to get really good at shooting and all the skills and passing, skills that everyone can do regardless of size. And she is able to win that way. And that is unfortunately what a lot of like Americans think of themselves. You're surrounded, like you're the only one working hard. You're not given as much as anybody else. And we're going to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. And, this is how we're going to succeed. That's what a lot of people think. And they see themselves in Caitlyn Clark. And on top of that, she's super exciting and she's succeeding. She is like the zeitgeist of this 21st century of what people see themselves as and the struggle of like the everyday American right now in Iowa of all places, from Iowa of all places, going to Indiana of all places.
So you feel like that's why she's not accepted by the culture?
Yes. Which is so ironic because the culture would identify with a lot of these exact same things, like, I mean, not being equally respected by your peers, not always being like underestimated, not having the prerequisite skill sets of other people. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't come from some sort of dynastic Connecticut, like Paige Beckers must have such so much confidence in herself because she's the next great Connecticut guard. You know what I'm saying? There's a history of great Connecticut guards. They used to make this comparison about what's it like to play with Eli Manning versus Phillip Rivers. Philip Rivers is this guy from the middle of nowhere. He has to fight for everything, and he's just like a regular guy, right? And then Eli Manning, if you talk to him, this guy looks so like just chill and whatever. He has this bedrock of confidence because his father was an MVP, his brother was a 5-time MVP, whereas Paige Beckers probably walks in with that and Caitlin Clark doesn't. I feel like a lot of people would actually, respond well to Caitlin Clark's story if it wasn't for race.
Tasha, I was asking the question. I think you're kind of in and out of seeing that conversation. If you had something to add, of course, I want to hear what you got to say. But you dropped a great comparison with that Eminem line. What were you gonna say, Tasha?
Are you asking a question about what's the question? I'm sorry.
I guess it turned into like a bunch. So like my question was, what's the disconnect between fans and Asia Wilson? Another question that we had asked was, why does Clark receive animosity versus like Paige, who's celebrated and she's like tolerated? And then it just turned into like, like a whole pot of good
gumbo. Yeah, a whole pot of gumbo. I think there's a couple of things in regards to this whole uproar about fans, about players who is being recognized and who's not being recognized. I think that it's two things that are at play. One, the WNBA hasn't seen this type of push in 1 year, this fast, this type of growth in 1 year and since its existence. And so I think there's a lot of things that the W is having to do to catch up with that thought process. I think the W, I'm going to put the onus onto the W and not necessarily onto the players, because I think that plays a role in it. But I do also think that there's a responsibility with the players for some things. So I think the W has to do a better job of highlighting its stars. I don't necessarily know that the W is doing all that it can to say, oh, Asia Wilson, without a shadow of a doubt, is, record breaker. Asia Wilson is, without a shadow of a doubt, is doing all of these things. I've heard more from Tom Brady regarding Asia Wilson than I've heard from the league. And that's problematic, right? The league, Tom Brady said, there's a lot of good players in the league, but there's only one Asia Wilson. And there's something to be said by that, right? The league has to do a better job of doing that. The league has to put that placement up to the forefront and say, this is who we are. This is our star player. And there are stars surrounding her. I think that the problem is with the untrained eye is that we have the ability of pitting players against each other who are not even in the same position, who are not even in the same, it's kind of hard to pit Angel Reese against the Caitlin Clark because they play two totally different positions, right? And I think a part of that is a part of what you're seeing culturally, in my opinion. It started out in LSU, black against white. What was Caitlin allowed to do, and what was Angel Reese allowed to do, and how did the media stroke that, right? It was okay for Caitlin to say, get out of my face. You only have 15 points and your team is losing by 30. Don't say nothing to me, right? It was okay for Caitlin to wave off a player at the 3-point line and say, shoot that shit. Shoot that, because I know it's not going in, right? You garbage. But as soon as Angel started telling her she garbage, you garbage, and started doing her like this, you don't have no ring, though, right? Then it became a whole issue. What's fair for one person is not fair for another. The other thing that we saw in LSU that we had never seen in any other player is that the black team won. And the Dr. Biden still invited the white team to the White House.
That was a big mistake.
And that's a part of the problem.
That's terrible.
That's a part of the That's a part of the problem, right? Is we want to acknowledge you a little bit, black team. We know that you have the talent. We expected that, right? But these other girls, these wholesome girls, played so good. And we don't want them to miss out on the opportunity to be at the White House either. So can we just have both of the teams at the White House, right? And then there it is, right? You have laid it out to the general public what you want, what you have expected. And I think that has carried over into the league, right? That has carried over into the league, and people are saying, Caitlin's good, but you can't forget about Angel, right? Everybody deserves an Angel, right? Like if I was if I was her
She needs to
marketing
trademark
person,
that.
exactly. If I was her marketing person, no, she
She needs
has
to
to
trademark
license.
that.
She has to license that because I said that first, right? Like, but if I was her marketing person, if I was the person who helped her, I would definitely, if I was on Angel team, that would be my marketing scheme, right? Everybody needs an angel. Everybody needs a person who can work hard. Everybody needs a person that brings this high energy, that pulls down the grunt work, the dirty work, and get it done. But I just think that what we are seeing in the W play out is the polarization of America. It is the polarization of what is happening in this America that we want to envision as one America, but it has always been two, right? And we can see that. We can see that right now in what's been playing out politically. We can see a lot of this in regards to what is happening. The people in Springfield, Ohio right now are needing police protection because of somebody's eating cats, but it's crazy in regards to the thought process.
Can I ask you this? Because Caps brought up a good point. So Caps brought up a really great point. Why is it that there is only seem racist towards the WNBA, but not the NBA? Make sense. That's a good point.
I think the commissioner in the NBA has made it very clear that 85% of his league is a majority Black league, right? The commissioner in the WNBA still has to grab her footing. She don't know what to say yet. She, even if that's how she feels internally, that's what she should say externally. And I think that's a problematic. I said that yesterday when we was on, or the other day when we was on. You can tell that the commissioner of the WNBA does not have enough diversity surrounding her, and she needs more diversity surrounding her.
Just quickly, what makes it even messier is the person that invited that team to the White House was a Democratic president and a Democratic first lady, which supposedly is supposed to be the party that favors minorities and things like that. So it makes it even trickier and messier. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. That's not wrong. That's of course, yes.
It would be more believable if it was like a Republican first lady and president that invited Iowa, but it wasn't.
No.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like it makes it messier.
And you could see that from President Trump.
I
wouldn't actually. I take it back. I mean, I expect it from both parties, truthfully, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I ain't gonna say it.
I'm just gonna push back a little bit when we talk about Democrats and Republicans. The Republican Party initially was the party that was for Black people because it was Lincoln's party. Let's make that clear. It was Lincoln's party, and because of that thought process, right? He emancipated the enslaved, and so that part was this switch between who Democrats and Republicans are now is quite different. But I think if that was George W. Bush, he would have easily, if that was, I don't know, if that was Laura Bush, I don't necessarily know that she wouldn't have had that same opinion. I think that that opinion is an inbred, internal, seep down, like we want one over the other. That's a preference. And I think I don't know if Dr. Biden was the only person who felt like that. Maybe Laura Bush would have felt that way, because it's a race thing, and I'm not gonna bypass that thought process.
Historically, but I mean, in modern day, like it's not that it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't good. Yeah.
Well, speaking of the opposite of good, so we're gonna shift. Let's shift outside of Clark for a second, and let's speak about other teams in the W, because you know me, we're gonna talk about other teams in the W. The first team I want to speak about is the New York Liberty. Having home court advantage, do you feel like this will finally be the year that they get through the hump? I just want to. What do y'all think about this? Do you feel like this is the team to beat going into the playoffs? They're the number one ranked seed. I want to say that they just actually did. They just they clinched the number one seed last night. Rob, I'll let you go then.
Yeah, no. So I think I'm going to confirm that not while I'm speaking, but honestly, I think this could be their year because they've been pretty much the most consistent team throughout this entire season. Even when they've gone through what would be deemed a rough patch, they find the ways to win again. They've had players injured. I know Courtney Vandersloot went through a personal loss where people are like, oh no, who are they going to slot in her place while Courtney's away from the court to tend to personal matters? Guess what? They still found ways to win games because they got a really in-depth team that can definitely get the job done. I feel like this could be the one. This could be the year for that original WNBA team to get it done. Just because, there is a big advantage to playing at home. during the postseason. You get the momentum. You feel like you have that extra player on your court from those fans cheering you on. And let's not forget this. Back in 2021, they didn't fill every seat in Barclays Center, but now they have like 18,000 strong rooting them on. And don't tell me that doesn't give you some momentum boost in your arms and your legs to get out there. So why not? I think this could be their season.
So do you think that they're going to beat Las Vegas if they were to play again?
I think they could. I mean, I'm not. That's not to disrespect, the Las Vegas Aces and what they've done the last 2 years. I just think the fact that Stewie has that experience of winning championships with Seattle. I think Sabrina Ionescu has really polished her game even more so. You have to also think of the fact that this bench. I know last week I was the one kind of gave flowers to Emily Engsler. Leonie Fibic has been so fun to watch. You saw firsthand, DJ, what she can do from the 3-point range.
Yeah.
She has game. I can't wait to see what they can do with her coming off the
I'm
bench.
going to highlight Lainey Hamilton. I'm always going to highlight Lainey Hamilton.
Yeah, of course, her too.
Great, amazing player.
Why are you highlighting Lainey Hamilton, Jabari?
Lainey Hamilton is an amazing player. She's a two-way player.
Is that the only reason why?
She had reconstructive surgery on her knee. She did.
I'm sure
she did.
Yeah,
she did.
Sure
All of these things happened to this woman.
Yeah.
And she's back in the league, and she's playing well. And New York, like she's she's a great. Lainey Hamilton.
Is there a story about this?
No.
Yeah, fill us in.
I don't know what.
Yeah, I want to know the background.
Give me some context here. We just want some context.
I have no clue what he's talking about, but I know that she's a great player. Lainey, if you watch this, I think you're a great player. I have no clue what Jordan's talking about. I don't know what the man is talking about, but I think she's a great player. And like she's easily one of the best two-way players in the WNBA. And I really feel like she's the X factor. So I'll say this: the reason why I brought this up, you have three guards in the Aces: Jackie, Kelsey, and then you have Chelsea. I mean, Jackie, Kelsey, and Chelsea. You're gonna have to take one of the three out, especially if you're gonna want to win. And you could put Lainey on one of the three. Asia and Stewie are gonna cancel out. So then it's like, okay, Sabrina and Kelsey are gonna cancel out. So to Rob's point, the bench has to offset whatever the last guard is doing all off itself. So I'll let y'all go, but I wanted to hear what you say.
I think that
she's one of my favorite players. That's what he's trying to say. I got a list of favorite players. Satu Sabali's on the list too.
They didn't have home court advantage when they played the Aces last year in the finals, right? So because the Aces had the best record, so they had home court advantage. But to beat the Liberty in the playoffs, you're gonna have to beat them two. So when they have home court advantage throughout the playoffs, that means you're gonna have to beat them 2 times in a row at some point. Okay, they haven't lost 2 games in a row since May 25th.
They're winning the chip. They're gonna win. They're gonna win.
So it's looking
Thank you for that stat. Thank you for that stat.
Yeah.
Falcor also agrees. He put there's 3 potential champions: Las Vegas, and we're getting ready to bring up the next one that we're going to talk about. Las Vegas, New York, and Minnesota. Right now, New York has the slight advantage, and that's what I was just getting ready. So I'm happy he brought up Minnesota, and I agree. And Jordan, thank you for that stat. I'm absolutely gonna rock with it. I'm gonna switch my pick. I'm switching my pick. So boom, I'm going to New York. My pick's New York.
Look at you flip flopping. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
look,
flip-flop.
I know.
Y'all remember my pick was Minnesota,
flip-flop.
but that's a really good stat. If you haven't lost 2 games back to back most of this year, you're not. It's not gonna happen in the playoffs.
In almost
The
4 months.
playoffs is different. The
not gonna
playoffs is
happen.
a different beast.
not gonna
It
happen.
is a different beast.
It's a new
I don't
season.
know. Yeah,
I agree. I don't think it's gonna happen. Actually, I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen. I don't think it'll. That means your team is wired a different way. Like they already know this. The next time that they play after a loss, that we can't do that again. We have to correct our mistakes. That's a really great stat. And like teams that normally have that type of stat, they normally find themselves winning near the end of the year. Go. Yeah, please. I was gonna talk about the Minnesota Lynx. That was my pick originally, but I'll let you go.
I just have one more quick stat, if that's okay.
Yeah, I want to see. Go ahead.
Quick stat. The New York Liberty have won every single back-to-back this year. They haven't lost a single. They're 6-0, I think.
That's
We'll
dangerous.
see. Yeah, that is dangerous. We'll see. This could be their year. This could be your year. But the game of basketball is so, it's every play. And if somebody gets hot, if somebody gets on a run, they were just talking about this yesterday. If you get on a run and you got a great team, you could easily be counted out. And so I don't know. I haven't pinpointed them just yet because I know what it's like to hold on to hope in New York and to have some little piece of bad luck from the Giants, from the Jets, from the Knickerbockers to I mean we know. So we can't call it in until it's called in my opinion. So I'm gonna hold out faith for New York because I have a love affair with the city. I got a love affair with New York. I love New York. But I'm just gonna hold out and cheer them on and watch because I can't make the prediction because it always turns the other way.
If I could, and we're gonna switch gears because I want to bring up Minnesota. I was gonna ask which of the two teams do you feel like is gonna have a better playoff run, whether that be the Connecticut Sun or the Minnesota Lynx. I think I'm not gonna say. Actually, I'll just ask this before I say this. One of the commenters, Caps, he put. Okay, let me read. He wrote like a bunch of stuff. He put. I wanted just to push back. He put CC and Angel. If CC and Angel are co-rookie of the year, then Asia, Wilson, and CC should be co-MVP. I thought that was funny.
No.
And they put, don't forget when the that was. I just thought that comment was funny. So it's Asia to period. It's Asia's period. It's just like it's Caitlin's period. Like, it's not co-rookie of the year. It's not. I don't think it's. It's not that.
It's Asia.
All right, but back to the Lynx. Which one of the two teams do you feel like is going to have a deeper playoff run? The Lynx or the Sun?
It depends on who's playing the first round. Yeah.
Matchups. Well,
I'm gonna go Lynx regardless. But we brought up the minutes. We brought up that one stat with Marina when they scored 17 points, they're undefeated. So now you're really banking on her to score that type of offensive production in the playoffs, which I'm not saying she can't do, but Jordan said it. It's really difficult to score 17 off the bench consistently. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna say Minnesota because they got a bunch of firepower. All right, cool. So let's move on to this Mystics question I had because they've been playing well. Rob, you've been excited. I know. They've had a great turnaround. So do you believe that this team's form is sustainable and this playoff appearance is sustainable? And shout out to Falcor, a longtime listener from Maryland. Or do you feel like this is just a fleeting moment of their success? Like, do you foresee them doing this in the future? Actually, go. Yeah,
I think they could. Go ahead.
I'm going to say no because you got Angel coming back, but I'll let you go, Rob. My fault. You said go.
I think they're overachieving, to be honest, because they were, DOA. Honestly, when we got to the Olympic break, everyone was like, "Yeah, don't even think about it. It's Chicago's. They got this. Dallas could probably come back." I was one of those people who said that. I dismissed the Mystics, and then all of a sudden, the Mystics just went on this tear where in their last 10 games recently, they're 7 out of 10, right? And they've taken sole possession right now of 8th place. They are in the driver's seat as far as I'm concerned because they have every piece that they need, starting 5, bench, all there. Mm-hmm. And the thing about this team that excites me the most is not their starting 5, it's their bench. Mm-hmm. I love their bench. Emily Engsler, I've mentioned many times, she's been great. Carly Samuelson's been really great. Jade Melbourne has been dynamic. Sika Kone has been awesome too because she's been able to get points whenever you need her to get those buckets late in the game. I mean, they had a dominant victory last night. And I think for me, I'm not saying they're going to be the Cinderella story for the playoffs. Unfortunately, I think New York's going to be like, thank you, Washington. We're going to just use you as a practice round, unfortunately, as they said to the Dallas Wings, as you heard, Jean Bray. Because Sabrina Ionescu said that. She goes, we were looking at these as practice games. And I'm like, but anyways. No, I think this is not a fleeting success. They're building off to something really good next year. And that's a scary thought because I dismissed them. And boy, was I wrong because they are going to be here for the long haul. Now, of course, Chicago will get their rightful place to be in that top 8 discussion, but let's not dismiss Washington either because whoever they get in free agency in the draft, oh boy, you better watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I think I was with you, Rob. I dismissed him a little bit. I was riding that Chicago wave, and after the Olympics, Chicago just took a downfall. But yeah, I think that this team is building for what is to come. I'm still going to say that they are building for what is to come, and so getting into the playoffs and getting this first round, I don't see them going past the first round, but I definitely see that this is a building space for them.
River Dance put that he doesn't think that this is fleeting success. He said that they have a good mix of youth and veterans. So he foresees them doing this moving on next year. I don't know if I see that next year personally. Because like I said, Angel's coming back, and she is the type of a difference maker, and I love that. Tasha, if I couldn't say it enough, that line is amazing.
No, thank you.
Everybody needs an Angel.
Everybody needs an Angel.
So when she comes back, I feel like she's gonna shut a lot of this ish down, and she's gonna be back to normal, and she's gonna be stronger. She'll be stronger. Hopefully, she'll be working on her shot. I know, obviously, she broke her wrist. You know, she can't. She actually can't even do that at this point. So she just gotta kind of just rest up and get stronger. Hit the weight room and just get stronger.
Yeah. I do want her to get some training in. I don't know if she's had a lot of training. What we see now with Angel is raw talent.
Unrivaled is going to be her playground.
Mm-hmm.
So, but and then speaking of playgrounds, so because we're gonna kind of, I guess we're gonna end soon. But I wanted to show y'all this. For everybody who says she don't play defense. Talking about Clark, she guarded Asia Wilson. I saw this like, oh my god! So here she is on the perimeter. If she gets this in her game, where she's able to play somebody on a perimeter, in the low post like this, the sky is the limit for this woman in her game, dog.
I see.
What are you gonna say, my fault? What are you gonna say?
I see right now that she is your favorite. You are Caitlyn.
I'm fanatic. I don't know about a fanatic, but I'm like very enthralled because it's like. Have you ever seen a player? Okay, let's do this.
I have.
Have you ever? Please name the player. Name the player that plays. Like I've never seen a player play like her. I can't say that I have. I honestly can't say that I have.
Bro, we gotta be objective, bro. That's like the only that's like the only good defensive possession.
The only.
Bro, come on, man. There's not a lot of those, and there was a lot of swiping prior to that contest.
Of course. So. And the last thing I guess I wanted to end with was what are your thoughts on this? With this stanchion thing, and because they brought up this refs, they said the refs need to go back to high school. And here you go, okay, I know I'm not crazy. Falcor agreed with me. He put gym rats always have pride on defense, regardless of their matchup. Okay, thank you. I know I'm not crazy. People be. So Jordan, you don't think she could play defense? I've never thought that. I've never thought that.
Bro, she gets blown by like every single time, and she swipes a lot. You know,
I'm gonna make sure. So, but the better question is. I'm gonna go watch back. I gotta watch back the film. I'm gonna go watch back some more film. I'm gonna watch more film.
First of all, how did she end up on Asia Wilson on that play anyway? There's gotta be some miscommunication. She should never be matched up on her.
She did her assignment.
Well, I think what we're seeing here is a matchup of will, right? Caitlyn Clark has a will she wants to win. She wants to play, and she doesn't like backing down. And so if Asia, what she saw was Asia was open. And so, no, you're not going to be open in front of me. I'm going to put a hand out. And so that's what she did. But what I'm trying to make sure that people are not doing is forgoing everybody who came before Caitlyn Clark and then make it seem like she's the best player hands down. No, like we've had some great players.
She's not the best player.
I know. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. Thank you. I just want to make sure because she's
not even the best player in the league.
You're doing a lot of slurping over there. I just want to make sure that you. Okay.
What?
7-Eleven didn't sponsor this show.
Exactly.
Hey.
Slurping.
Slurp.
No.
Yeah,
that's
right here. You're doing a lot of that. I just want to make sure you're okay. You okay?
But that's what I mean. Let's
Bro,
do
you
this.
guys gotta level it up. You got a whole gallon of sweet tea here.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what it looks like.
Jordan's drinking. Hey, he's drinking his Kool-Aid too. You got to call me a Kool-Aid fan, man. Well, so be it. Like, call me. You gotta call me a Kool-Aid fan, whatever. Because I'm like, but that right there is the question, right there, Tosh. Right there. That's what I'm saying. It's like, why does it seem like, oh, this person's glazing or et cetera, if they're just saying anything complimentary about this woman, like that right there is the question.
I think the question is not it's not an invalid question in regards to giving her props for what she's doing now. What she's doing now in the league is something that is unheard of, right? Not only did Caitlyn come to the league, but she came with 20,000 followers, right? She came with 20,000 people who's going to buy tickets. She came with 20,000 people who's going to show up with her at every arena and not just at her home state, right? The team that she plays for. So I do think that is precedented. What I don't like is people what I thought I heard you do was to demean or belittle everybody else who came before her in that position and say that she's the best of all time, or hands down she's the greatest, and she's not there yet. I love what she's doing for the game of basketball. I love what she's doing in regards to the W, but I'm not hating on the fact that what she's doing is phenomenal. I'm just saying, don't forget where we all came from in regards to this league. And I think that's a problem with the media. The media is doing that, right? Making it seem like Caitlin is the only person. And I think that the league itself needs to do a better job of highlighting a lot of other people as well.
Mike
So that's
earlier. Exactly.
That goes back to the question I was asking, is like, I don't think that I think that the league could do a much better job of putting other players in the spotlight as well. There was no reason why there weren't commercials, why there isn't a bigger deal about, one, Jordan, to your point, the single season record with New York, and two, with the unanimous MVP getting ready to shatter most of the scoring records in the WNBA. So it's like, why aren't you making this a bigger deal? That needs to get pushed heavily, and it should have been. But then the question is, again, is like, why don't fans care enough? And it's because it's not Clark. But then it's like, why? Why is it because it's not Clark that they don't care enough about that? That's essentially my question. It's not.
There's a lot of
because
similarities to this Caitlin Clark thing and like the Tim Tebow thing to me, because it's like, it's like we all kind of know Tim Tebow wasn't like that great a quarterback. And I think we all know Caitlin Clark is not the greatest basketball player of all time. She's good, but she's like, I mean, like we all know that she's not, but with pretty much, I mean, because like she came in with these fans, it's not like the WNBA they promoted her after she was already like in, or she was on her way in, but it's not like the WNBA built up this person. She had to come in with her own fans, which is why we struggled to market Wilson, which is why we struggled to market Breanna Stewart, to the degree that, because Caitlin Clark marketed herself, you know what I'm saying? It's very similar to the Tebow thing. Like Tebow came in with his own fans, like the NFL and didn't boost him up.
Go, please.
Go ahead. I don't necessarily think that that's the issue, right? I think that the WNBA undervalued who she was. I don't think that they knew that she came with 20,000 fans. I think they scrambled after they found out that this kid brings in everybody at every center. So the WNBA had to scramble. Right. I think that that's a problem on their, like I said before, this is showing us all the holes in the WNBA system, right? They should have done better research. They should have known what was going to be happening, what to expect. They probably should have known what to expect when she asked for a private plane. Like, I'm not getting on a regular plane with everybody because I got too many people that's gonna stop me in the airport. I'm not going to be able to do that. I've been in a private plane since I was in 11th grade, right? So in that thought process, I think the WNBA wasn't aware of how this goes and what was to come. And I think they've done some growing and some developing as well. The issue for me is it's not on Caitlin Clark to determine who is going to be for her and who's not going to be for her. If the WNBA is going to promote her, if the WNBA is not going to promote her, that's not Caitlin's job. Just like it's not Asia Wilson's job, but somebody has to do the work. Somebody has to do that work to say, these are the people that we want to show you. And somebody has to be able to say, whether it's the team, whether it's the league, or whether whoever it is, somebody has to put these people to the forefront. And I'm saying that the WNBA is not doing a good job of that. The WNBA is not doing a good job.
Who would do that? The WNBA then.
I'm saying the WNBA needs to do that, not Caitlin. The WNBA need to highlight in the middle of that Indiana game that Asia Wilson just broke the record, right? That should have been the next commercial.
So the WNBA is not doing a good job at doing that.
They're not. They need to do a better job at that, right? And that we are putting this pressure on Caitlin. We're putting this pressure on Asia. We're putting this pressure on Angel, but it really should be the WNBA. And the WNBA needs more help in regards to that matter.
A lot of the comments agree, Tasha, with you. Old leadership regime of the WNBA needs to conform or get out. That's what Falcor put. Mike put the WNBA's marketing isn't Clark's fault. Somebody put Clark didn't come into the league as an. This is a great point. And Riverdance, thank you for this. This is why she's been celebrated. Truthfully, this is another reason. Clark didn't come into the league as an average player. She came in as their greatest scorer.
She's exciting to watch. I don't care what
Great.
you say.
That's
she's
fact.
she's
The greatest
exciting
for the college basketball player
to watch. And she's exciting to watch, and she has a little mouth on her. I like all of that. I think that is purpose for good basketball. You know, when you out there playing basketball and somebody's telling you you suck, you're going to go out there and prove a point. You're going to go out there and say, "Oh, take these." You know, you're going to get 3 points and be like, "Take these," in regards to who sucks or not, or who's getting the ring down. And I think that's important in regards to the game of basketball. And a lot of people hadn't seen that type of passion in a long time. Not that it wasn't there, but it wasn't here in Indiana since about 2016, since Tamika Catchings.
Yeah, I was saying since Catch.
She's basically the kid in school who could read the textbook with actual feeling instead of the kid with the monotone that bores everyone in class.
Yeah.
And we know that she's got that dynamic killer instinct because I'll give her this, and y'all have seen this clip on YouTube. In her high school, she went to I think an opposing high school, and these boys in the stands were booing her, calling her overrated. So what did she go and do? She lived up the score. She won, and they were silenced. So I think she thrives off of criticism more than she does of praises. So I'll give her that much for sure.
Yeah. I think she's exciting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll read this last comment, and then I think we'll call it a day. She doesn't even market herself for online social media. Yeah, okay, cool. With that being said, that was episode 28. Everybody that's on TikTok, I'm not gonna end the live. I'm gonna just join y'all on TikTok. Everybody here, if y'all are more than welcome. I appreciate it. If y'all have closing thoughts, please fire away. Tasha, Rob, Jordan, I appreciate y'all being on. Of course, as always, Q, Corey, everybody else is on.
Yeah, so my closing thoughts are, as much as I hate the fact that this WNBA regular season is coming to a close, and unfortunately don't have the Dallas Wings to write about after that, I'm really looking forward to the playoffs because I know we have some exciting teams, 8 exciting teams to watch out for. And the great thing is, I'm going to see if my predictions and our predictions hold up because we're recording ourselves, right? So we get to replay this and see who's the closest in prognosticating the road to the W championship this year. And our opinion keeps changing, rightfully so. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes out. And of course,
my fault. I was gonna say I'm not gonna I know how some sports media analysts will start from the beginning of the year and say my championship pick was blank, which I normally do. This is a shortened season, and with everything that I've seen, I don't mind jumping ship and saying my championship pick was blank. Now it's blank. Like I said, I think it was the Lynx. If I had to, let me just rephrase everything. I think the Aces will get the job done, but I think the team that will have the best chance to knock them off will be Minnesota, followed by New York. And now I want to flip flop. So I really do want to pick New York versus the other 2 teams. And Seattle, I feel like Seattle got a puncher's chance to knock out Las Vegas, and they just got to get their ish together. So those are my closing thoughts. There you go, Jordan. I'll let you go. Thank you for that, Rob. That works.
My closing thoughts are the Mystics are they're making it interesting. They've like Rob said, 7-3 in their last 10 games, and breaking news, Deladon has taken a break from her time off to put a public service announcement out to support the adoption of dogs. So that's if you guys are out there, you're dog lovers, go ahead and adopt a pet near you.
I see it. Animal promotion. All right. With Tosh, we're going to close the thoughts. If you had anything on to I guess to sell the viewers, everybody on TikTok, we're gonna be joining y'all in a minute. If you had anything to tell the viewers. Oh, she cutting up. With that being said, I think it's tech difficulties. Episode 29, 28, y'all know
28.
28. We out of here, y'all. Thank you.
Peace.